Welcome to A Bit of Board Games, a casual podcast documenting the many failures and hopefully successes of Waffle Games, as we learn the ins and outs of board game design and self-publishing. Join us on this journey as we talk about a bit of life, a bit of design, and a bit of board games. Welcome back to another episode of A Bit of Board Games. I am your host, Steven, game designer, artist, just all around coolest person ever. And with us today is Ralph, game designer, artist, art director, things. We all do stuff. We all just do everything. Not with us today is Trevor. He's traveling, so he will not be here this week or next week. And, we'll see if he survives and makes it back after that. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. Anyway, yeah, we live streamed last week. That was fun.
Yeah.
My brother hopped onto the stream kind of near the end, and
Not Batman.
definitely not Batman. And he informed us that that my microphone was not sending audio through. So we did get it fixed, but it was super fun because we just were there for like an hour streaming, and no one could hear me. So luckily it was our first one, and so we didn't have like people there because we didn't really advertise it except on the podcast. So if you were there, awesome, thanks for stopping by. But also sorry that you couldn't hear me.
Yeah, you literally have to check out the podcast.
Yeah, that's what
if you want to. Yeah,
it's a teaser, so like they get half of the audio in the live stream, but it's like, hey, you should listen to the podcast if you want the whole thing.
Yes, I did. Of course, on YouTube, you posted pretty much the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I liked your treatment of the podcast because I was listening to it while I mowed, which is what I do now.
Oh, sure.
That's when I listen to the podcast. Is when I mow. But I noticed, I was like, oh, he cut out that's a good idea, because a lot of it was just us watching it.
It's just like the video sound. I'm like, I actually had to chop some pieces up that I said near the end, because we started just talking about what we thought about the video, and then I was like, oh, I didn't say for podcast listeners, if you wanted to watch the video, there's spoilers ahead.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
so
right.
I said that after, and I just had to cut that in front and then go into the next section, and but I think it worked out fine. So
it did. I think it was good.
But anyway, it was fun. Go ahead. What?
It was fun. I was just gonna say my favorite part, I think, was the very brief. I feel we should have spent more time, I think, on the post video chat, because I thought that was when we were talking about some of the most interesting aspects about the video. During the video, this should be known. We're not react. I don't know how to have good reactions live, right? So, most of my comments came afterwards, and I felt like there was a lot of interesting stuff about that video. If you don't know, it's kind of this cool dark mystery about this
WoW's darkest secret.
About WoW, and it's not necessarily like a horror game or a weird dark game or anything like that. But there's this weird deeper element to it that is just this weird these weird facts about it. I always love that kind of stuff, so that was fun to talk about post video.
I think I derailed us because I was like, oh wait, we don't want to do spoilers, and then I don't think we ever got back on track talking about it after that. So, but it was all good. It was fun. If nothing else, it's just kind of fun to do a live stream, especially when even though it was my brother was the only person that came on, it was still fun because it was just hey, we're just chatting with other people in this space. It's just a unique thing, but we'll be doing that once a month. I'm not entirely sure what they will all consist of, but hopefully it'll be fun. We did figure out the audio technical difficulty, so that'll be fine next time too. So
and you're guaranteed our full attention for these ones where they're there's not a ton of people watching. So if you are watching and you say something, we're almost guaranteed to answer.
Yeah. dude, if anyone wants to chat, have questions, the next live stream, we'll sometime in July. I don't know when, probably near the end of July. We'll do another one, but I don't know, could be fun. Could be a fun time. Be fun for us if people were there chatting more.
It would be.
Yeah. So anyway, Ralph, how are you? Deep down, just lay it all out.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, no, generally, I'm very good. I'm back to kind of a normal schedule. We were kind of talking about this before the podcast, but I am post my big project, honestly, and I bring it up every episode. That's how traumatizing this project is for me.
Oh man.
I mean, when was the first time I mentioned this? It's been like
Dude,
months.
it's been a
now.
long time because when you first came on and you were gonna be more regular, we were like, oh well, I've got this big thing in the summer, and then after finishing all this stuff, and then I can start working on things.
Yeah.
So it's been It's been like probably 2 months now.
Really has. So I'm done. I just plugged in the last bit of like the audio portion of whatever we need for this thing. So, and that's it. I'm hands off. I'm just doing minor things here and there. And so my week has been back to normal. I'm loving it. Goodbye, Steven. So this now.
Sorry, my dog. My dog just like burst through my door and like left it open. And there's a lot of noise when the air conditioner kicks on. So I'm just just creeped over there. Continue. Sorry. Yeah. Don't mind me.
For you listeners, Steven just slowly edged away as I was talking. I sometimes I upset Steven when I'm talking, and
this is the second time that we've been chatting where I just leave the camera.
Just go away. No, but yeah, basically, long story short, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. We just had family in town this weekend. So my wife's family was here from last Thursday until I think most of them left Monday. Then her parents stayed with us one extra day. But yeah, so her sister and brother-in-law and their 2 kids, and then her parents were out here, and they got a rental in town like 10 minutes from us, and yeah, it was fun. I took a couple of days off work, and we went on hikes and grilled, and the house they rented had like this like play set in the back, so all the kids were climbing all over that and having a blast with that. Nice. So they were they have one of their kids, their youngest is like a little over like a year and a half, and so she's a little older than Henry is, and they're both in this stage where they don't want to share anything and they want everything, and also they get into everything, and so there are a lot of you're very very greedy, just very very grabby over there, Ralph. You need to settle down.
That's why he leaves. A lot of talk.
Anyway, so there are some small incidents and things, but like they're also just unaware of things around them and each other, and so there were a couple like pretty bad falls / pushes that when they were fighting each other a little bit. Like Henry went up to the glass door and was just like looking in the door, and then his little cousin, she comes up right next to him and is like, no, and like she wanted to put her hands on the door. And we're like it's, you can both be at the door, it's fine.
Yeah, there's enough room for everyone, right?
Plenty of space. And then like we're like, hey, like, it's okay, like you guys can both be there. And like she understands, she's a little bit older, so she understands a lot more than he does. And then I turn away for like a second, and then I like hear like a little like cry, and then turn, and Henry just like falls on his bottom, and then boom, like head straight back on the concrete patio. And I'm just like, oh god, like I sprinted over, like it was stressful. He was fine, but man, like
it
was a hard hit. He was just like, he was not happy for a long time, but
right.
And there are other times where like he's almost walking off the edge of this like porch that was like a higher end of it that he's just gonna like topple down like these uneven stairs, and like, so my adrenaline was up a lot over the weekend, and I was very stressed for a lot of times. But overall, it was a really good time. and I actually got to do a bit of sketching here and there, so illustration stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
which those on the video side of things, got a little sneak peek here on my tablet for what I've been drawing. Oh, that's the wrong thing. I'm not on the right spot. Didn't have it open. But I've been using this app, Infinite Painter, on this Android tablet that I have. Is there stuff on here? Let's see if we can get this. But there's the most recent one that I'm still finishing up. Kind of finishing some of the details on it. I think they're called like scrap daggers, I think is the current working name of that. But yeah, got some progress, you know. Worked on some illustrations, went through more rulebook stuff, and actually went through all of the notes that Trevor and I had from our last playtest, and went through and tweaked. I didn't get to everything that we had written notes about, but kind of updated some of our thoughts on things and like tweaked the things where, hey, like this card doesn't make sense, or like this one is too strong, or, you know, random things that we said in our notes. I went and kind of updated and fixed some of that stuff. So I think we're just getting a lot closer to another play test. It's gonna happen sometime. But once we go through the cards a little bit more, kind of updating some of the stats on a few more, I want to try to play test again with some people. And then after that, hopefully we can get closer to some external play tests once we have some other designed things that Ralph and I were just talking about.
Yes. Yeah, we just had a big meeting before this.
Art meeting.
Yep. It was brutal.
Tore him apart. Said, "You think that's a good idea? What's wrong with you?"
Yeah, that's right. But no, we actually came up with some good ideas. I mean, basically, this goes back to a very old discussion of, like, you know, I have been sort of brought on mid-project, right? So, and a lot of this is Steven and Trevor's vision. So what my goal is to help them achieve that vision to the best of my abilities. And, you know, I want to bring ideas in and help, but I really am trying to make this thing unique, but also feel true to what they're trying to achieve here.
Yeah.
And so we basically had conversation around that. You know, he showed me ideas of, I'm not sure how specific you want to get, but he showed me ideas of, like, these are the things that I'm going for. This is the tone. This is kind of some reference material that you can use to get inspiration from.
We can do some details. I'm fine with that.
Cool. Well, topical. Some of the ideas. I mean, Steven has mentioned he's been playing through Tears of the Kingdom. So some Zelda. He recently also played Link's Awakening, the remake. So, you know, a lot of Zelda. And then Breath of the Wild has got some of those, some elements that he also enjoys.
Specifically some of like the ancient tech, or like the magic.
Yeah.
The combo of like magic and technology, I think, is going to be a core of the theme and like styling in this game. So it's like a forge. It's like a magic forge that you're creating these things. But it's using that magic in a technological, like with these technological advancements that they've made with the magic, the shade energy from that and everything. And so, yeah, trying to take inspiration from some of those things, and like while also staying unique, obviously.
Yeah, and I don't remember if we shared it, but we had an illustrator. Like, I worked on a card,
and I don't think we
ever
shared that one.
We did not share that one?
No, because it was still just kind of concept phase. So
yeah, we were just throwing ideas around. It leaned pretty in my comfort zone, which is like dark, sort of rustic fantasy, where I think the tone we're going for here is more high fantasy and more tech infusion.
Dark, that's what tech infused fantasy.
Yeah,
with
that's
murder.
What we're trying to. Yes. So I have a better idea. What I made was just sort of start getting my gears turning, start
Yeah. Oh yeah.
sort of brainstorming into something to create something, and then we'll refine and fine tune and throw out the bad ideas, keep improving as we go. But I definitely, after our conversation, I have a much more clear vision of the end result, like the goal,
Yeah.
what we're trying to reach. And especially we talked about like how does the card relate to the board? Because that's an
Right.
important that's a pretty important, cool, unique function about this game in particular. This game has a really cool union between like how you use the cards, how you use the die, even several elements from the game, and their interactions with the board itself, like the player board. And I think that's going to be really important to nail that relationship. It's going to make it feel like you're actually, ideally, it's going to feel like you're actually working with items in a
Right.
forge to some extent,
In a magical forge.
Yes, a magical forge.
Yeah.
And I just think that's a really kind of unique, and the way that Steven sort of envisioned it, he's got some sketches and everything. It's a really unique approach, and I think it could be really cool. So
Yeah.
we're
One of the biggest references, inspirations for like my idea of what I want the player board to be is from Merchants of the Dark Road, which I actually have on my shelf down there. I have the game. It's one of the ones I've never played still. But their player boards, like you each are a merchant in this fantasy world, and bringing goods to and from places, doing stuff, fighting enemies, hiring mercenaries to help you, whatever. But the player board, where like looks like a wagon, so each player has their own wagon that looks slightly different, but the UI is the same. The UI, the interface, the elements of where dice go, of where information is on the wagon, the player board, of like the costs of certain things, or like how to do certain actions, or like there's an inventory section that has a grid, and like as you get items, you have to place them, arrange them in the grid in different ways to figure out how you can fit the most things in there, and like more valuable things take up more slots in different sizes and shapes. But like, so that like the wagon looks like a wagon, but then the elements on there are kind of more just like gamey. And so that's been kind of one of my biggest inspirations, rather than just like, here's a rectangle board and like we'll just mark some sections off, and that's where you put stuff arbitrarily. I'm like, I want this to feel and look like your forge pack, your portable forge that you carry around with you and stuff. So
yeah, I think it can. I think we can get it there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. And that was another thing we were talking about between like, because we were talking about the card design, and like some of the ideas we've had have just been like, what if it's like the artwork with the illustration on it, and then it was just kind of this like floating, UI styling for like all the information and everything. And because that was like some of my earlier versions of what I had designed, and like what I had posted like a while ago, for like the card layout, like the information layout is still pretty similar, but it was kind of just like, hey, here's just like floating information elements on top of the illustration. Whereas now it's like, okay, is there a way to combine some of this style with more of like you were saying, like a tangible feel? Like, what if we made part of the card or the edge of the card look as if it were like a physical object, and then like, is there a way to connect that to the forge in that design too? Like literally, like you place this card against the forge to craft it. Is there some way to make that look, and like, obviously we want the look to match across the board, but is there a way to like connect it to visually make it look like it's supposed to go there?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest challenges. I was just saying this, like, because when you have something like our inspirations, say Tears of the Kingdom,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they have the tangible elements. It's the game. It's the game that you're literally playing. Everything feels tangible. Everything you're literally getting feedback by playing the game, existing in this world. And then so they can get away with kind of, I mean, if you look at it, it's some pretty simplistic, minimal UI. It's well done, and it has some great reoccurring kind of unique elements, like the cool edge work that they have going on. I would encourage listeners to look it up. Yeah, it's very cool. They've got this cool, like, gritty dissolve effect on the edges of their UI. And then they have these cool, like, this cool swirl circle pattern that they put into, like, the bottom right corner.
And that's used like all throughout the game in different ways too.
Yeah, it works great. But the thing is, it's almost like we can't really just lean into that because we don't have a three-dimensional moving art piece going on at all times to just slap that over and it'll always look good. We need to create. That's why we were thinking we would maybe lean a little more into that sort of tangible design feel where you've got like the super illustrated look and work it together with the UI so that it doesn't necessarily just feel all floaty. It feels like it all kind of connects to other pieces. And it's something for the player to connect to because they're playing this game. They want to feel like they exist in this world, and giving them items to be able to do that could help pull them in a little more.
Yeah, it's like it's hard enough with a board game. It's not going to feel immersive because you're not like in the world doing stuff, and so you need to rely on things like what's the word? You need to rely on things, you know, like story and, you know, flavor text to pull you into what's happening in the world, and then the lore, and you need to rely then on the visuals and other things too to like see how the world looks and how these things feel. And so if there's a way that it's like, this is how this character, this play, like as you as the player, you know, you would have these items that would be like the blueprint item, and then that would connect into this forge, and then with its magic stuff you feed the supplies, and then it's just like poof, magic, there's a thing. Like there's, as much as we can make it immersive as we can, like with the artwork and the visuals, I think it's just going to make it stand out more. And that's our goal with our games. You know, there's a lot of games out there that are not trying to do world building and bring you into this like this atmosphere and this space. You know, there's a lot of games that are just like, it's a game, you know, and they have great art, they have great visuals, they have different things. But in the end, like it's not trying to fully tell a story. It's just trying to create an experience for you to have a good time in this interesting environment or this interesting mechanics.
You telling me you didn't catch the deeper meaning behind chutes and ladders?
It's the trap we're all
that
in.
One went. Yeah, that one got me.
This is life. You're just constantly climbing up and sliding back down.
Beat down.
Yeah, but like that's just something with our games that we want to bring in and that we enjoy is the lore and kind of building a world around what's happening. Like we could just make a crafting game that's just like, here's a scrap pile, here's some nails and wood, and then you build some stuff with on your turn, and like I don't know, but it's like it does not have to be in this thought out, built out fantasy world with all these other like mechanics and stuff that we've come up with. But that's what kind of I think gives it a unique like taste to it. So
it keeps us engaged too.
Yeah,
I don't know if we would be so. Yeah, I don't know if we'd be so connected to it if it didn't have some of that stuff in it.
Yeah, like the goal isn't just to be like, let's make a game. It's like, let's make a game that we want to make. Like that's interesting and cool.
Exactly. Let's like create something. Let's and go all out.
Yeah.
And tap into some of that nerdy stuff that we already like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thought with that. So this brought up an idea in my head. Not an idea. Just a thought about like immersive games, UI, and things like that. Have you heard of a game called Dead Space before?
No, tell me about it.
Okay, so you're this guy on
Dead Space by Visceral Games.
on a
What?
ship that uh get I see I've never played this, so this is my version of what this game is about.
That's right.
Yeah,
Despite me telling you you should,
I know. I even own it, like it's on Steam.
I know.
Okay, so you're this guy on this spaceship, and something, infects the things that are in your ship, and then there's no other survivors, and they all become these mutated horrors that you're then going through with a gun, like a gun that shoots like a laser strike beam.
A plasma cutter.
Plasma cutter. There we go. To sever limbs and murder abominations. Yes. And that's what I know about the game.
That's all you need to know.
There's a point to this. Anyway, so this is one of when I've looked up, different user interfaces for games, just because it's something I enjoy.
I know what you're getting at.
There's two main types of interface, and there's diegetic user interface and non-diegetic user interface. So diegetic is essentially the interface is a part of the world. And like, it's not an interface in that regard. It's like there's visual pieces. So really simple example, Firewatch, the character has a map in their hands, and you see them with the map in their hands, and that's how you can kind of see what's going on, and you have a compass and things like that. Mm-hmm. It's not like, oh, press M to open my map, or select on the controller, and then it's just like a screen with a map. It's like it's a physical piece of the world. In Dead Space, like, your health is indicated by like these bars on the back of his suit.
And, like final column style health bar. It's awesome.
Yeah, and then like things you interact with, like screens appear, and like you're then there at those screens, and like you can't do stuff around.
Like your crew will call you, and it's literally like a FaceTime that's being projected. The whole thing. There is no like UI in a sense. It's all diegetic. They're one of the best examples I've ever seen of doing something like that. It's so cool. It really pulls you in.
Yeah, and go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that game particularly benefits from it too, because in a sense, you can't just escape into a menu,
right?
From your problems. You're stuck in this world. Even if you want to go into a menu to get a new gun or something like that, you can't leave. It doesn't pause the game. There's it's great. It's amazing.
And so then there's a lot of the non-diegetic UI would be like, I can't think of like most games.
Most games.
I think
Fable,
like Ocarina of Time and Zelda. It like opens up this screen where it's like, here's a grid with all of your items, and you can go like cycle through, choose an item, or just like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, same thing. And it's just like a menu that you navigate through, like different tabs and like this inventory screen. It's not like. It's like
actually, does Fable 3 count as, because in Fable 3 they had that awful idea to
I don't remember
do that room that you like teleport to instead of a menu.
Oh, that's
what a great idea, Peter Molyneux. Great plan. Everyone loved that.
I don't remember that. I did play a lot of that game.
Dude, it was so intrusive. You literally could not they thought they were making this brilliant move where, oh, we're getting rid of all those crappy menus. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I've never wanted a menu so bad in my life. Playing through Fable 3, where you had to, like, if you just wanted to change your sword or your load or your outfit or something, you literally are ripped out of the experience you're having just to go to this other room where you've got like a butler talking to you, and then you freaking walk up to like a mannequin and then change your outfit and then go back, and it's just so disjointed. It's the worst idea ever. That's so where Dead Space is a really good example.
Yeah.
Fable 3 is a bad example.
I'm trying to look this up because I don't fully remember it.
Oh man, it was really something.
This actually reminds me of a really good resource we've been using too. There's a website called GameUIDatabase.com,
Yeah, it's
and
awesome.
it's awesome. It has like a ridiculous amount of video games. Not everything is on there, but a lot of games are. And you can just search a game, and then somebody has gone through and gathered like screenshots of all these different pieces. So like for Tears of the Kingdom, you go through and there's a whole section of like the title menu and the settings menus. And then there's screenshots of all of those screens. And then there's like, what does text look like on the screen? And so then there's examples of the different ways of text have, like inventory, stats and resources, whatever. Like all those things. There, somebody's put screenshots of what all of these pieces look like. So it's great for reference if you're like, hey, like that I'm inspired by these games. You can like take those screenshots and like save them as reference and like try to like see what kind of elements you want to pull from that. And it's just a really good resource that has like so much stuff on it. I love it. Let's see if it has Fable 3.
Fable 3. See, I think there are like traditional elements in Fable 3. It's just that
I don't see it.
You had to go to an entirely different. I don't even know how to describe it because it was so off the wall.
Like a different world.
Range. Yeah,
Realm.
It's just a strange idea. I mean, bold choice. Good for you doing that, but I just don't think it was a good idea, really.
I did have a lot of fun playing those games.
No, yeah, they are fun. It that reminds me though, this whole idea about the diegetic menu.
Yeah.
Does it count if like, because there's like a lot of examples of games where I think Fallout's a good example where you have like an item that exists as your UI, as your menu, right? So like the Pip-Boy is basically, it exists on you in the world, but it is all of your sort of menu navigation and everything like that.
So that there are hybrid games that have like, it's like either they have some diegetic elements and some bit regular like non-diegetic elements, but then like that with the Pip-Boy, like I see what you're saying, because it's like, oh, it's on your wrist and then you're in the menu.
Yeah,
that would be closer to
one extra step.
Yeah, I think that'd be more just like non-diegetic, because then how you're interacting with it is all just a screen. And it's not really, I don't know, like, because the whole interface looks like the thing that's on your arm, like the Pip-Boy, but
I've seen, well,
I don't know.
I think you're right. It is more of a hybrid because there's also examples of games where, I mean, I saw this one recently. I think it was Alone in the Dark or something really weird, like the remake of Alone in the Dark, which sucked. But your character literally, you look down, like when you enter the menu, I think you look down and see items like on your body, and you can like your hand moves between the items and pick one. It's super weird.
That's dumb.
That game is insane on a lot of levels. But that is one example that I thought of. It might not be that game also, but that I think it is. And that would definitely be an example of like a diegetic menu.
Yeah. So what we've learned here today is that you can have diegetic elements, but doesn't necessarily mean it's a good design or good idea. Or
we only had one good example, Dead Space.
Siren. I mean, Firewatch has a pretty good use of that too.
I really liked Firewatch, and I don't even like whatever you call walking sims or whatever. But I thought Firewatch was pretty good.
I've heard good things. I haven't played it, but anyway, so we can't really do like diegetic UI in a board game because everything is just like a piece. But the goal of that conversation and like the thought about that is like how we want to incorporate elements and make them feel as if they were physical things rather than like just virtual gamey things.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's going to be cool. I'm excited about the direction we've got. I'm excited about what we're going to do next. And, like I said, made some progress this weekend, just going through all of the many things that we need to evaluate and kind of adjust before playtesting again. And we will play test again. The goal is July now, so that's where we're at.
July, yeah. Oh, what's coming up? The 4th.
Oh yeah, it is. We'll talk about that next week. So.
Oh yeah, because we'll probably record. Well, I don't know when we'll record.
We'll record probably right after it, or around it, or during it when fireworks are shooting off everywhere. Yeah.
Good.
Anyway, that is all the time we have for today. Thanks again for tuning in. And if you want to keep up to date on what we're doing, keep listening and or watching this podcast, as well as follow our Instagram at Waffle Games to see some artwork and the new logo that we posted last week of Wally the Waffle. He's adorable. You can also find a link to our Discord at bitwafflegames.com. So do that. Thanks again for being here, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. See you guys.